What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for AEW on TNT review, and we're also going to go over who won what award during the AEW awards, which happened about 30 minutes, an hour before the show went on the air, and it lasted about 36 minutes. Now, before we get to the show, let's talk about the winners and everything else. After 436,000 total votes from the fans, here are the award winners this year. Best moment on the mic went to Cody Rhodes accepting the dog collar match from the Exalted One, Brody Lee, which Cody afterwards said that actually the promo that was the challenge for the dog collar match was a better one, and he's accepting this on behalf of Mr. Brody Lee, and it's great to share it with him. Honestly, exactly, I think that promo was really good. They had the MJF speech in there, and just a lot of great stuff. Now, one thing that I expected them to have, but they didn't have, is they didn't have a Wrestler of the Year. They had breakout star for male and female, but they didn't have an overall Wrestler of the Year, which is really weird. Biggest surprise was Sting's debut, kind of obvious there. Breakout star male was TNT champion Darby Allin, which when he got the award, he was like, cool, walked off. Of course, Brit Baker was Tony Schiavone, who was the host, correspondent. She tried to get some words with him, and he asked her, you want to know why I'm so quiet backstage? Because of people like you. She gets offended, he walks off. Breakout star female of the year, Hikaru Shida, which Brit Baker takes offense to that and actually takes the trophy from her, which they were just these like little squares with a little bit of splash effect off to the side. So yeah. Biggest beatdown, Inner Circle beating up on Orange Cassidy. Best high flyer, Rey Fenix of the Lucha Bros. Absolutely one of the best of the best. Hardest moment to clean up after, which this one made absolutely no sense how this became the hardest moment to clean up after, why it was even in this. The parking lot brawl. You had all these other things like the juice, like Orange Cassidy juicing the Inner Circle, Shida and Riho getting put through tables. I think there was one other two, but it's like they gave it to the parking lot brawl, which Santana and Ortiz weren't happy about getting because they ended up losing that match, and they took big offense to that. Biggest WTF moment was Kenny Omega stealing the AEW World Championship from Jon Moxley with the help from his good buddy, and that. The LOL moment of the year was back when we had fans on the Jericho Cruise, where a lot of things started, including the Jericho's theme being sung every single week. But MJF being super kicked and then thrown into the swimming pool, which of course was a very funny moment. Best follower, for whatever reason, was the Native Beast Nyla Rose. I figured that would go to Orange Cassidy. And the Bleacher Report pay-per-view moment of the year, which was not voted on by the fans, was decided by Bleacher Report themselves, was the Stadium Stampede. It was an interesting moment. It was a good moment for AEW, so I guess you can give it that one. Now, we start the show off, and this show was definitely interesting because we started off with Lance Archer versus Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston comes out, and that's all I can tell you about that match until the very end, because everybody who was watching this on TNT or TNT app or something, it went zit, 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 like a glitch fest, like somebody was hacking it, and it went black. For the entirety of this match, until at the end you saw Butcher and the Blade holding Jake the Snake Roberts. Bunny give Eddie Kingston a pair of brass knuckles. He does the back fist slap and gets the win. That's all I can tell you for that match because, again, I didn't get to see it. Then after the match, it started going backwards, so I didn't even get to see the beatdown. Bunny slaps away on the fallen Archer. Butcher and Blade hold Archer as Kingston cracks him with another spinning back fist. So I missed that entire thing, and I was really looking forward to that match to see what happens. Jon Moxley tries to figure out the situation between the Young Bucks, Good Brothers, and Kenny Omega. He doesn't think it's going to work. Feels there's too much drama with the Elite. Moxley then brings in Death Triangle and all the relationships that stem from them. He says he's a simple man, and in the business, there's only one person you can rely on, yourself. Tells his partner Pac and Phoenix to saddle up with their match at Beach Break against Omega, Gallows, and Anderson. And that is next week. Beach Break is already here. I can't wait. Now, I think the plan was before COVID and all that shit hit that they were going to do Beach Break. They didn't want to do Bash at the Beach again because they didn't want to offend WWE. Or WWE, they gave the license back to you or whatever. But they were going to do like they did last year with Bash at the Beach, where one show was in an arena and the second show was part of Jericho's cruise. I think that would have been, they would have did that this year as well. Unfortunately, we have everything going on with COVID, all the bullshit that's going on, and that Jericho cruise, I think, is pushed back to August tentatively, and it's most likely probably going to happen. We don't know yet. But I think that was the original plan. I'm not there. I don't know anything, but yeah, I think that would have been what they could have done. But yeah, Beach Break next week. Cannot wait. Random building, Sting talks with Taz, Brian Cage, and Ricky Starks about their upcoming street fight, which will be Sting's in-ring debut for AEW. It's not an in-ring debut, it's a debut, but it's not going to be in-ring because it's going to be a cinematic street fight. Sting didn't appreciate being called a hoodlum by Taz. Alan says it doesn't matter in the streets. If you're clean or dirty, it's all about survival. He throws a skateboard through a window. Hopefully that was not 2 stories up or something, or 3 stories up or something. Alan says it's no different than Sting. Sting takes his bat and starts whacking a bunch of the windows with his bat and agrees he is a hoodlum, and they walk off. So, yes. Now, I'm not a big fan of having to have Sting wrestle. I mean, this is a way to get the rub for Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, and Darby Allin. I don't think Sting's going to go in there, look like a fucking stud, and make everyone else outside of... Make Darby Allin feel irrelevant, and have Ricky Starks and Brian Cage look irrelevant too. I just don't see them doing that. So, Sting is probably going to go in there. The reason they're doing it like this is so he can go out there, have a match for them, but also protect him. You're not going to have Sting. I don't think Sting is wrestling a match in the ring for AEW. It's just not going to happen. He's too broke down. He's 60-some years old, if I'm correct. There is absolutely no reason Sting should be wrestling in a ring in 2021. We can say the same thing about Oldberg, but that is neither here nor there. So, our next match is Chris Jericho and MJF, the official tag team of the Inner Circle, versus the Varsity Blondes, a.k.a. Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. And there's a lot of history here for 2 of these guys, Brian Cage and... Well, there's some history, not a lot, but there's some history for Brian Cage and Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho met Brian Pillman Jr. when he was a wee lad, because he ran around his father. So, gives you a nice little backstory here. Of course, there's also a story between MJF and Griff Garrison. And if Griff Garrison was humiliated by MJF a couple months ago. And that is where we come in for that. So, MJF takes the mic before the match and tells Sammy we had to talk after this match. He talks trash to Griff Garrison before beating him previously, and Garrison ends up dropping him with a punch. Out the floor, then back to the ring, but still eats a boot to the face. This match was okay. It was decent. Jericho didn't work the bulk of the match. The reason they had this match go like it did is so Chris Jericho's going to be, I think, for the time being, is going to be in tag team matches predominantly because, I think I'm using that word right, because of his age as well. And MJF can learn from Jericho and get the big rub. Now, again, decent match here. Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., you got to look at it this way. Yes, they lost the match. They were going to lose the match. You're not going to have Jericho and MJF win the, tag team ship of the Inner Circle, go out there the next week, and then lose. It's just not going to happen. So, good match between these guys here. And how did this end? Let's see here. If I can get my notes, things like this note thing going up here. Damn phone. Okay, let me see here. Jericho sent to the apron. Pillman with a dropkick sends Jericho down to the floor. Pillman throws his opponent back in the ring. Springboard leap right into the Judas effect. And Jericho heard what Jim Cornette said about his moonsault, his lion salt, because last week it looked absolutely atrocious. It was botched, and honestly, it felt like he took this as a challenge because he went out there and did a lion salt to Griff Garrison, and it looked like it should have last week. I mean, everyone has an off day, and Jericho had an off day with his lion salt last week, and he hits it perfectly this time. 1, 2, 3, and that was that. There was no reason he needed to do a lion salt, but he did. So after the match, they're all doing the middle finger to the camera, but you can see Sammy Guevara and MJF are having words, and you can just tell. I have a feeling that at Revolution, it's going to be MJF versus Sammy Guevara. The loser is out of the Inner Circle. And maybe that's where the Inner Circle turns completely on Sammy. And Sammy's trying to get these guys on his side, but MJF, is that smooth talker. He can get anybody to do anything he wants. No problem. And Sammy just doesn't have that skill. It's like MJF has that talent to go out there, be a massive smooth talker, and it's going to hurt him in the end. And it's just going to take. He's done. He's going to be done with the Inner Circle soon. He's going to be babyface. That'll be the first domino to fall in the Inner Circle. And when this isn't Japan where one domino falls, and then we're going to see another 4, 5, 6 dominoes fall. Or like one domino falls, and it gets replaced by somebody else. That's not going to happen here. Sammy Guevara is going to be out of the Inner Circle. Then eventually, Santana... I just have a feeling that the Young Bucks... I have a feeling MJF and Jericho are going to win the tag team titles. It's the only way this makes sense. Is that they win the tag team titles. Santana and Ortiz are fed up with the fact that they were brought in, as they mentioned a couple weeks ago, they were brought in to be the tag team of the Inner Circle. And they're not treated as a tag team of the Inner Circle anymore because they lost that match last week. So, well, they didn't lose, but they didn't get pinned. They lost, but they didn't get pinned. So, I think that they're going to get fed up. They're going to challenge those like Jericho and them for the tag team titles if they win them. And then, and believe me, this is not rumor. This is not rumors or anything. This is just my feelings on how things go. And then if they lose, they quit the Inner Circle. And there goes from there. Something like that. Something's going to happen that brings this all apart. It obviously starts with Sammy and MJF. Obviously. That's definitely how this is going. And we'll talk about it again in a minute. Because they do talk a little bit backstage. And it's just obvious where they're going with this. Pac sends a message to Kenny Omega. Obviously, this show was taped last week. I mean, you're not going to tape Beach Break. They could tape Beach Break, but I don't see them taping Beach Break. They're going to do that one live. Pac's not there this week. Wasn't there this week for that simple fact. So it's going to be interesting to see what they happen there. But he thinks Kenny thinks he owns the business and is taking liberties. He says Don Callis is a clown, says Omega is just manipulating people and attacking people from behind. Next week at Beach Break, Omega is going to face the consequences of his actions. Earlier tonight on the award show, Shaq challenged Cody to a match in March, aka Revolution. Cody and Arn Anderson head out to the ring. Tony asks Cody what he has to say to Shaq and even Jade Cargill. Cody says he would keep it simple, Shaq and Jade versus Cody and Brandy, but life happened. Since Brandy is now having a baby, Cody says he defers to his coach. He's not sure where to go. He asks Arn what he should do on Revolution. Arn tells Cody that he's about to be a dad, and that's the forefront of his brain, and brings up a date back in 1985, in which Arn Anderson saw Dusty Rhodes crawl into the ring, tussle it up, take on Tully Blanchard, and then get out of town, get on a plane, fly across the country to see the birth of Cody. And you can just see the mention of this just brings Cody to tears. Because, of course, we all know Cody loved his dad. His dad hasn't been here for almost 10 years, it feels like. And it's just, yeah. Cody has to have his family on his mind. Everything he does needs to be about his family. Cody tears up Arn Anderson says if he wants to do the show, he needs to do something with eyes wide open. Brings up Shaq's amazing career, how he dominated his sport for 19 years. I wouldn't say 19 years, but close to it. His last few years were kind of shell of his former self, which just happens to a lot of basketball players. He says he shows Jade does the same thing, and when she comes in the room, she dominates it, which I don't think so. He then brings out Red Velvet while Cody ponders his future. A very serious Red Velvet heads to the ring, and Arn Anderson says she's got fire just like Cody. Velvet takes a mic, looks at the camera, and says she's out here tonight because she's tired of getting attacked and Brandy getting disrespected, knowing damn well she cannot defend herself by a coward. She says Cody will never put a hand on Jade, but she will, and I will stir your bitch ass up. Tony says it sounds like the ball is in Shaq and Jade's court. Now, first off, it's smart to put this in a tag team. I do not want to see Cody Rhodes against Shaq one-on-one. It would be an absolute disaster. You, I, and everyone else knows that would be terrible. 2, Red Velvet is only here, of course, because Brandy having a baby. Which, honestly, good for her. Stay away. Don't come back and wrestle for at least a year. 3, what has Jade Cargill done? We have not seen, unless you can find her on YouTube or something, I have not seen anything. Jade hasn't been wrestling on Dark. There's no tape in AEW on Jade Cargill. So why, as a fan, should I care to see Jade Cargill in the ring? Now, knowing that this coming Tuesday, she might be on Dark in a match where she gets to destroy somebody. But having her make her in-ring debut at a pay-per-view, not a good idea in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Hangman Adam Page versus Ryan Nemeth. If you do not know who Ryan Nemeth is, he is the younger brother, if I'm correct, of Dolph Ziggler. Now, I know they're brothers, but I'm not sure which one's the oldest. He is a little taller than Dolph Ziggler, but God, he looks just like him. So, if you actually looked on Dolph Ziggler, I actually went there and looked on Dolph Ziggler's Twitter account. He was like, don't watch this match, don't cease and desist. Calling him... What did he call him? His Nicole to my Pam Anderson, which I think that's a big shot to the fucking face. That's fucked up. Telling people not to buy his shirt, reverse psychology. But yeah, it's great to see Ryan get his shot. He was on Dark last night, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I watched Dark for about the first hour of the show, and then I get out because it's just the same shit all the time. Squash match after smash. So, this was a really good match. I figured, Ryan Nemeth's probably going to go in there. And AEW is doing this a lot on the main show. They give people a lot of time. Cody gave Peter Avalon time, which shouldn't have happened. Moxley gave Nick Comoroto a lot of time, which looked fucking fantastic. And same thing here with Ryan Nemeth. Halfway through the match, Big Money Matt comes to the ring, just watching. Now... Nemeth's back up, reverses Stoning's out in the ring, and hits a spike DDT on Page, cover 2. Page flips out into German suplex, discus punch, buckshot lariat, 1, 2, 3, and Hangman Page gets the win. So, Matt's out there. He's clapping at Page as he makes his way to the back. Page catches Hardy's attention and calls him back to the ring. He's like, come here, we need to do something here. So, Tony Schiavone makes his way to the ring, see what's going on. Hardy says he didn't want to create a scene, and just wanted to be in Pedro's corner and say, hey, Hardy says he's been watching over the few months and he's concerned. Hardy says he knows how much Page loved Omega and the Bucks, and they burned him, and he did not deserve that. Knows how the Dark Order has been coming after him, and while Hardy says he doesn't want anything, but he just wants to be Page to be happy and deserves to be happy. And he sees where Page has been dressing lately. In the hallway next to catering, which nobody should be dressing that way, and I don't think that's true anyway, but it says, I have a huge locker room, and you're welcome to it, no strings attached. He heads off, and I believe Tony Schiavone said it's something you should really think about, Paige, and we go from there. So, then we talk about the match of the night. Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt versus Dax Harwood with Tully Blanchard and Cash Wheeler. This match was made last week, but over the weekend it was decided and agreed upon that Tully Blanchard and Cash Wheeler would be handcuffed to Luchasaurus. And Luchasaurus is a big dude. He's not going anywhere. Period. Now, Marco's stunt was shoot away because his left arm was taped up along with his side of his chest, so he might be legitimately injured, or they're just selling his match from a couple weeks ago. This was great. Now, I will have to say this. Jungle Boy, a couple weeks ago, was gifted by Tony Khan his indie-themed Tarzan Boy. And you can hear the entire, during this entire match, there were members of the crowd singing the chorus to Tarzan Boy. So I'm like, yep, that's going to help Jungle Boy exponentially in this entire, building him as a star. The music helps make an entrance, and I can't wait till we're in an actual big arena where he can come down the ramp and what the actual full entrance is going to be, because you're kind of limited in this place, Daly's place, for entrances. So whenever they can finally get out of Daly's place and go somewhere else and give us, that long walk from the ramp all the way to the ring, and you hear Tarzan Boy playing, the crowd singing to it, all that shit, it's gonna help elevate this guy a lot more. And it already started, but I can't wait to see how much further it goes. But these two meshed so well together. This was one hell of a match. Now, as you know, as I said before, they were handcuffed to Luchasaurus. There were times where they tried to get away, but he kept pulling him back. There was times where he tried to get up. They were pulling him back. And this was a pretty damn good match. Now, Harwood with another pin. Harwood tries for a jackknife, but nope. Harwood to knee. Jungle Boy with the pin and goes right into the snap trap. Tully and Cash trying to get to the ring, but no luck. Harwood ends up tapping out after all the punishment dealt to his arm, because during the beginning of the match, portion of the match, he went for a reverse suplex, a back suplex off the top rope, and his arm landed under Jungle Boy. That did not look like it felt good whatsoever. So, Jungle Boy gets the win. After the match, the handcuffs are being removed. Tully has powder, puts it in his hand, throws it in Luchasaurus' face. They throw him into the ring post. Those guys go in there. They beat up Jungle Boy. Spike power driver by those guys. Then they take Luchasaurus, who still has the cuffs on him, cuff both hands to the ring, get a pair of scissors, and then go to his mask and cut both horns off. Which I'm sure he'll have I'm hoping he has a spare mask, but that mask is now ruined. They go to cut Jungle Boy's hair. Stunt runs out and throws a chair at them, as SCU and Top Flight also run out to help. And that was that. So, this is far from over. Great match. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Jungle Boy and Dax Harwood. There was a lot of internal talk, apparently, for this match, and everyone was excited for it. So, that's great. Jungle Boy is going to be a future heavyweight champion. I hope he wins the TNT Championship by the end of the year. Outside, Team Taz is talking about the Sting promo when Hook and Powerhouse Hobbs go over to a couple of guys who are setting up merchandise some reason outside, and are bitching because they only have Sting merch and Darby Allin merch. So they start beating them up, and Stark puts one guy through a table. Cage launches the other one into a lawn dart into the side of a heavy nearby truck. A la Rey Mysterio back in the 90s. And yes, Street Fight coming on March 7th, the day before my birthday. Great. Yeah, I just realized my birthday is going to be on a Monday, and I have to suffer through Monday Night Raw on my birthday. Wow. Sucks, but that's what you get for watching wrestling. Brit Baker versus Shauna. This match was not good. Brit Baker is terrible. AEW has been trying since day one to make Brit Baker the face of the women's division. They had Tony Schiavone during that award show like, hey, who's the face of the women's division? Brit Baker. No, she is not, nor will she ever be the face of the women's division. If that's your face of the women's division, no wonder your fucking women's division sucks. She was terrible. Shauna has the experience and Shauna has the skills to make this match as best as she can. But Brit Baker is just terrible at everything she does. Wins with a lockjaw. What'd you expect? Shauna getting screwed over for Brit Baker can be pushed as the face of the women's division. Here's my question. If she's the face of the women's division, why is she not the women's champion? Why is Hikaru Shida the women's champion? Why is Hikaru Shida loved by the fans? Like, they're trying everything. I know, yeah, she's a heel. Fans aren't supposed to like her. She doesn't have heel heat. She has go-away heat. She is fucking awful. I don't care if she's dating Adam Cole. She can be Adam Cole's girlfriend for all I care. But get her out of the fucking ring because she's fucking terrible. Okay, let's see here. Oh, yeah, Thunder Rosa comes down after the match after she starts beating up on Shauna some more. I don't know which way it says it. Shanna or Shauna. I hear both from the commentary, so I don't know which is which. That match is going to happen next week, and they better fucking have Thunder Rosa beat Brit Baker. They have Brit Baker beat Thunder Rosa, then there is absolutely no hope for this women's division. Backstage, MJF wants to talk with Sammy. He tells him he didn't tell Wardlow to get involved last week. He says he docked Wardlow's pain. It wouldn't even happen again. Sammy doesn't believe it and says everybody believes what he says, but not him. He says he sees exactly what MJF is up to. MJF is like, are you sure you want to play it this way? Sammy responds, I'm not playing. And he walks off. Again, Sammy Guevara versus MJF at Revolution. It's going to happen. We still got another full month to get through that they can build this up. So, Sammy Guevara is going to be out of the Inner Circle. Probably because the Inner Circle screws him out of that match against MJF. So, next week is Beach Break, and here's what we have for the card. The wedding of Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian with Best Man Miro and Charles Taylor. Here's my scenario. Here's a couple scenarios. If it's a tower cake, a small tower cake, or a small tower cake, but there's a table that's long enough and wide enough and with a sheet, like a thick sheet over top of it, Orange Cassidy is going to be under that table, and at a certain time, he's going to roll out, and they're going to be put through the cake. Second scenario. If it's a huge-ass cake that, one of those cakes that someone pops out like, surprise, Orange Cassidy's going to be in that cake. Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor are going to put either Penelope Ford or Kip Sabian through the cake. And then at Revolution, it's going to be Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor versus Miro and Kip Sabian. That's the only way I can see this going. It sucks that Trent's out for forever, how long he has a torn pec. But, yeah, that's going to happen. Thunder Rosa versus Brit Baker. Thunder Rosa better win. Tag Team Battle Royal winner faces the AEW champion Young Bucks at Revolution. But this is something that you would see like in the G1 Climax. The Young Bucks are in the Battle Royal. If they win, they get to pick their opponent at Revolution. Something tells me that either FTR wins or Young Bucks win and they pick their opponent. That's where I'm going with that. Kenny Omega and the Impact World Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers with Don Callis versus John Moxley, Pac, and Ray Phoenix. And that's a nice card right there. But I have a feeling we'll get one or two more matches over the week. They tend to do that. Women's Eliminator Tournament, and we have our first match. Serena Deeb, the NWA Women's Champion, versus the returning Riho on the U.S. side. Which is weird because Riho is based in Japan. She lives in Japan, so it's kind of weird to see her on that side of the bracket. But Riho's back, and I'm sure I'm not a big fan of Riho, but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who cannot wait to see Riho back in AEW. And it's been about a year, almost. Backstage, Dasha talks with the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. Gallagher set in the match next week against Moxley and Phoenix and Pac. Young Bucks said they're excited to team up as long as Don Callis isn't around. Kenny Omega shows up and asks Matt if he's interrupting anything. Omega says they need to talk. Callis shows up with a bandage all over his side of his face. Mac and Nick ask what happened, and he said, "You assaulted me." They're like, We didn't assault you. You're full of crap. And they try to take it off. And the music starts to play, so they up and leave. AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers, and the Impact World Tag Team Champions versus the Dark Order, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, Alex Reynolds, and John Silver. There was a really funny spot at the beginning of this where John Silver tags in and Anderson's in. But he's like, I want the big guy. I want him. I want the big guy. So Anderson's like, fine. Tags him in. He comes in and, Gallows does his stupid shtick where he's like, he tries to, like, let's do a test of strength. And then he pulls it up. It's like, ha ha. He gets on his knees like an idiot. Starts doing the winding his arms up and stuff. So John Silver ends up beating him up a little bit. This was a hell of a match. So many fucking spots. The Young Bucks being the Young Bucks. Gallows and Anderson doing their thing. John Silver being the breakout star he should be all year long. Like, when they had that award, if I was choosing it as an academy or something, the breakout star male would have either been Darby Allin or John Silver. And honestly, in my opinion, it probably would have been John Silver. Darby Allin was great, but we saw such an improvement in 2020 on John Silver just from BTE and bringing it over to the main show. So this match could have went either way. John Silver is just a beast. Beast. And he's earning that name, Johnny Hungy, for sure. But in the end, there was a spot where it's like, they're all, like, John Silver, I think it was in the middle of the ring, they're all hyping it up, and they go, too sweet, and I'll kick him in the head. That was crazy. So, great double teams by the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. Matt hits a big step-up twisting flip on the Dark Order, multiple apron bombs to Dark Order. Grayson eats a quadruple super kick. It was not John Silver's Grayson. Uno breaks it up. Magic killer on Uno. Grayson hits the Meltzer. Takes a Meltzer driver. Matt Nick cover 1, 2, 3. After the match, Matt gets the mic and says, next week at Beach Break, whoever wins the Battle Royal gets a shot at the titles at Revolution. They are also in the match, which means they get to pick their opponent if they went, and says it could be anybody. And it looks right at Gallows and Anderson. They do a too sweet pose, which, of course, Tony Schiavone says there's another t-shirt. Phoenix runs out, hits a slingshot double drop kick on the Young Bucks. The Good Brothers immediately take him down. Though they try for the Manager Killer. Nope. Moxley comes out of nowhere. Clears the ring. Phoenix with a massive flipping senton on Anderson. Omega runs out with his pointed boot, but runs right into a paradigm shift, and he's out. Moxley and Phoenix celebrate as the show goes off the air. Good finish. Match, like last week's show was decent. Wasn't a great show. This show was definitely better than that one. AEW go home show before Beach Break. Definitely a lot better than last week's show. Can't wait to see what we have coming in the Beach Break. I'm feeling there might be another match or two that gets signed for Beach Break. It feels like they're just missing a few things. I know they had the Battle Royal, which will probably take about a half an hour maybe. Who knows? If it depends on how it goes. If it's one member gets eliminated, your team's eliminated, then it's not going to take that long. But if it's everybody has to be eliminated, then that makes a different story. Do I think the Young Bucks are going to win that match? I'm 50-50. I'm 50-50 because I don't think it's time for the Young Bucks versus FTR 2. That's All Out or Double or Nothing, in my opinion. But AEW definitely much better this week than last week. Other than Brit Baker, she's down. And of course, I really don't care about Shaq. Shaq versus Cody, no thank you. I'm good on that. But hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter, find me on Minds at the France Club, find me on twitch.tv/France Club, and find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I'll see you guys Friday for SmackDown on Fox. Well, I also have a Royal Rumble predictions. Until then, my name is the France, and I'll see you guys later.